Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Rani's a-sabad-a-day. The fifth Shabad in the string of Asa Bani Namdev Ji Ki, a short verse whose recitation is as under. Asa Parbraham je Chinhasi, Asa te na pavasi, Rama bhakta hai chetyale, अचिंत मन राखसी. कैसे मन तरेगा रे, संसार सागर बिखे को बना, झूठी माया देख कर भूला रे मना. रहाओ छिपे के घर जन्म दैला, गुरु उपदेश बैला, संत के प्रसादी नामा हर पेटला. Namdev Ji was what we call a chimba or a shimba, a low caste community in the scheme of things, who were involved in the profession of dyeing and printing calico fabric. Now, calico is a plain woven textile that is made from unbleached and unprocessed cotton. And Namdev Ji uses the metaphor of his birth and profession to describe how we impress the pattern of our experiences upon the fabric of the mind and body. In the Rahau, he speaks about the world as an ocean of poison and raises the question, how do we swim across such an ocean? In other words, the business of life is a challenge. He's using that metaphor to convey the idea that life is full of challenges, sufferings, and illusions inherent. And these are caused by the fact that birthing itself is suffering, the world is impermanent, everything in the material world as we know it is transient, subject to change, which leads to sorrow and disappointment because we set expectations and are disappointed. The appearance of the phenomenal world is also distracting. We suffer from a kind of amnesia, a forgetfulness, which is again the source of our suffering. Our senses get attached to things, to objects, to people, and that binds us to the business of worldly existence. And the poison is the emotional turmoil, the greed, the envy, and other negative states of the mind. And in all of this, we are ignorant, spiritually ignorant, that is to say. The forgetfulness is avidya, the forgetting of one's true nature. So that's the message in this passage. How do you swim across? In other words, how do you successfully negotiate life? And the answer that Namdev Ji gives us is Parbraham je Chinhasi, asa te na pavasi. at the very outset. Parbraham je Chinhasi. If only you were to contemplate on the eternal being, Parbraham. Now, Parbraham is also, quite apart from the fact that it indicates the Supreme Spirit, the Absolute, it also is a reference to a heightened state of our own consciousness. So Kabirji says that only if you contemplate, reflect on the state of consciousness that is inherent in you, rather than being trapped in this constricted consciousness called the ego, then asa tina pavasi, pavasi is experience. Asa is hope, expectation, but it is also a snare. It is a trap. So if we exert ourselves, or if our focus becomes that higher state of consciousness, then the attachments of the ego, the illusions of the ego will not be felt, because our focus will have changed. And the way to do that is Rama Bhakta Chetyale. Rama Bhakta Chetyale. So the words here used are Rama, Ram, that is all pervasive, Bhagat, devotion, love. And then the key word here is Chetyale. Chetyale is to bring into the mind, into memory. So this is a recollection. It is a process of recollection. You don't have to go look for something, you have to recollect something that is already in the mind. Achinta man rakhasi. And then Namdev Ji says you will be free of anxiety. So you have to shift the focus of your mind from the ego to that higher state of consciousness from which the ego is arising in the first place. So turning back to the source, rediscovering the source. And then the question was raised, Kaise man tari gare sansar sagar bikhe ko bana, chuthi maya dekh ke pula re mana, mesmerizing. The world of phenomena mesmerizes us. We suffer from amnesia. We forget who our authentic self is. And we get trapped in the cycle of the ego, the conditioned mind. Chipe ke gar jamnam della guru upadesa bella, santa ke prasad nama har petala. So he says, I was born into the home of a lowly calico printer. Chipe ke gar janam della, but by the grace and instruction of evolved individuals, Santa ke Prasad, the insight that I got from them, the fellowship, the association that I created. And Santa has several connotations. It is used for a guru. It is used for evolved individuals in the plural form. And it also means a mind free of anxiety. So it could mean here, Santah Ke Prasad could also mean that I received the gift of a calm mind when I met the Har within, when I reached that state of consciousness. Har is the evergreen consciousness that is always fresh. Har also implies that this freshness of consciousness is universal. It is in everyone. It is inherent in us. We simply have to turn our attention, recollection, in order to be free of anxiety in this world. And that is what will carry us across. That is the weapon to meet the challenges of life. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.